Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney, and today I'd like to talk to you about strategies I use in multiple sclerosis cases. And obviously MS is a very serious disease. It is one that causes a lot of symptoms over time. It lasts a long time. Frequently someone is diagnosed and they will have symptoms, and it could extend on for years or decades even. And how do you prove that you are disabled? Well, the way I typically look at it is obviously since the issue in a disability case is whether or not you have the capacity for work, the first question is, at what point have your symptoms left you without the capacity for work? What is the date that you are no longer able to work because of your symptoms? So I think you've got to pin that down. And generally speaking, you're not going to be able to prove that you became disabled while you're still working. I know a lot of MS patients continue to work and maybe get special considerations, and you can make an argument that if you're getting a lot of special considerations and you're able to continue working, that you might be able to still say that you're disabled even when you're working. But generally speaking, that's not going to go for more than a few months. So if let's say that you say your disability began in May of a particular year and you were working through July, you might be able to argue that from May to July you were not engaged in substantial gainful activity because of all the special considerations you got. I don't think you're going to be able to make that argument if you're trying to say that you were getting special considerations for a year and a half. Judges just really aren't buying that. So generally speaking, your onset date for your disability needs to be one where you've stopped working. Now, one issue that does arise in MS cases is that a lot of times people will go to part-time work. And depending on how part-time the work is, if you don't get all 4 credits from Social Security for a particular year, you could run into a date last insured problem. What I mean by that is that if, let's say that you only earn $2,000, $2,500 in a year, you may only get 2 credits for that particular calendar year. If you do that for 5 or 6 years, then your date last insured is going to run out. At some point when you stop working, your date last insured will run out very quickly thereafter. You won't have insurance coverage for SSDI because, as a general rule, SSDI follows you for 5 years after you stop working full time. But if you have a year of no work or a year or 2 of very, very part-time work, $1,000, $2,000, then you're not building up credits so that when you stop working, your insurance pretty much runs out right when you stop working. And you may, let's say you decide to apply a couple years later, or the medical or the documentation is not real complete, going back to the onset date of when you actually stopped working, then you may run into a problem with a date last insured. I realize that gets a little confusing, but the point I'm making is that if you're doing part-time work, or if you miss a year or 2 because of your symptoms, and then you go back to work and then you start going part-time and you miss work, you could run into a late last insured problem. And you just want to make sure that you talk to your attorney about that so you know what onset date you need to prove in order to win SSDI benefits. And it may be an onset date going back 5, 6, 7 years. That's called a remote onset, and that has its own very particular problems, but it's something that I do see in MS cases. So I'll just leave it at that, but just be aware that your onset date for disability needs to be before your insurance runs out or before your date last insured for SSDI purposes. As far as what to talk about, my experience has been that with MS, you have both physical and mental issues. Obviously, physical balance can be an issue, strength can be an issue, coordination, use of your extremities, your arms, your legs. You could have pain in your arms and your legs, or sometimes lack of use of the grip strength, or lack of use of the arms or legs for periods of time. Again, balance could be an issue. A lot of times it's very much of an issue, and stamina can be an issue. Obviously, if you're having, if you're struggling to walk or to do anything physically, it can really wear you out, and MS can cause some great deal of problems with stamina and endurance. I think cognitive problems are oftentimes a big deal. I've had clients who develop bipolar-like symptoms as a result of their symptoms, or as a result of their condition. So MS can have any variety of symptoms that you can experience, and all those can be very, very debilitating. I think you need to know the type of MS that you've got. There's, I think, 4 types: relapsing, remitting, secondary progressive, primary progressive, and progressive relapsing. You need to know where you are on that scale, because there's different time frames that are associated with the different conditions, and they move from one to the other. So you definitely want to know where you are on that spectrum. I think that when you testify about your symptoms, you want to be able to talk about when certain things happened and when you started feeling a certain way, when you started to notice some of the symptoms express themselves. I find that it's easier to do that when you can relate it to a particular event, whether it's a birthday or a holiday, or the time you stopped working, or the time that your favorite sports team won a pennant or won a championship. But the more you can be specific about when things happen, because obviously time is a very important factor in MS cases, that can really help the judge as well. My experience has been that when you are, if you've got MS and you're getting close to age 50, that judges will tend to give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit more when you hit age 50. That's when the grid rules come into play, even though MS is really, may or may not be appropriate for a grid rule argument. Judges do feel more comfortable. I've had a couple of cases where the judge says, I'll approve it, but I want you to change your onset date to the person's 50th birthday. I think judges will give you the benefit of the doubt a little bit, just because obviously MS is a condition that tends to get worse over time. It's not generally going to get better. What you're hoping for is that it goes into remission and things stay the same, but obviously your baseline keeps changing as time goes by. But I think the more specific you can be about your symptoms, the more you can tie them into dates, tie them into MRI or CT results, or to doctor's appointments, the stronger your case is going to be. I generally have pretty good results with MS cases, but again, judges want to see the brain MRIs. They want to see the cervical MRIs to see the spots on the brain or the spots on your cervical spine, because again, it's got to be properly documented that there is an objective proof of MS. I've also had a couple of cases where MS was suspected, but it was never fully documented, and judges are a little more hesitant to go with that because they want to see the actual brain MRIs to confirm that in fact you do have a form of the disease that is progressing and obviously creating more symptoms that's making it less likely you're going to be able to go back to work. So there are some special considerations there. Generally speaking, MS cases are good cases. Generally speaking, you're going to have ongoing treatment. You're going to be taking medications and doing what your doctor tells you. But a lot of times the issue I run into is a timing one, is when did the symptoms get to the point where you were simply not able to work, and to make sure that that date is before your insurance for SSDI runs out. That tends to be an ongoing issue with MS cases, at least the ones I get for some reason, and so we got to work past that. Hope you found this helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube, like it on Facebook, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and like our Facebook page, and visit my website at ssdanswers.com. You can download my Secrets to Winning Disability Survival Kit. It's a free, it's not really an ebook, but it's an email delivered information package. I do it that way because there's so much stuff in there, and I've gotten up to 30 installments now that would just be too overwhelming to deliver it all at once, but it does come over the course of a couple of weeks. So I encourage you to get that. And if you want a case evaluation and you're not represented by another attorney, happy to do that as well. You can find the form for that at ssdanswers.com. So for now, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, wishing you the best. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the survival kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include: how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know, how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.